Some stories never get told. Some truths are too dangerous, too unbelievable, too damning. But this one I can't keep to myself. I came to LA to chase a dream, to break into the industry, to make a name for myself. But I ended up at a party I should have walked away from, in a room where the walls whispered, where shadows moved on their own, and where my friends disappeared forever. I made it out, but I'm not the same. And when you hear this, neither will you. We hit LA with stars in our eyes and fire in our veins, 3 kids from the East Coast with dreams bigger than our bank accounts. We crashed on the floor of a tiny apartment in Koreatown, a single fan humming in the corner as we talked about the lives we'd have once we made it. I was the singer, the one with a voice that could cut through the noise, the one who dreamed of sold-out shows and studio sessions that ran until sunrise. Jazz was the dancer, the one who could move like she had music stitched into her bones, the kind of girl who made strangers stop and stare when she hit the floor. And then there was Sean, our influencer, the one who knew how to play the game, to bend the algorithm to his will, to turn moments into viral magic. We made a pact back in high school, before any of us had ever seen the ocean, that if one of us made it, we'd all make it. No one left behind. Those first few days in LA felt like a fever dream. We hit Venice Beach, crashing into the waves like we owned the Pacific. We shot reels on the rooftop of a rundown hotel in West Hollywood, the skyline stretching out behind us like a neon promise. Every night we found a different party, a different rooftop, a different scene. We tasted the city's chaos, breathed in its smog, let its pulse sync up with our own. But the thing about LA is, it only shows you what it wants you to see. Beneath the palm trees and perfectly curated feeds, there's something else, something dark, something hungry. It was our 3rd night when we stumbled into a bar on Melrose, the kind of place that looked like it had been ripped from a Tarantino movie. Neon lights, sticky floors, and a DJ spinning vinyl in a corner so dark you couldn't see his face. The air was thick with smoke and sweat, the walls vibrating with bass, the crowd moving like a single breathing organism. We pushed our way to the bar laughing, our skin still tingling from the cool night air. Jazz's top clung to her, her eyes bright, her grin wide. Sean was already pulling out his phone, trying to catch the moment, to lock it down in pixels and hashtags. That's when he found us. I didn't see him approach. I don't think any of us did. 1 second we were alone. The next, he was there, leaning in close, his breath hot, his smile sharp, his eyes reflecting the flashing lights, like a predator's in the dark. "You 3 look like you're chasing something," he said, his voice low, smooth, the kind of voice that doesn't ask, just demands. "You looking for the real LA?" We hesitated, caught between fear and curiosity, our pulses quickening. "Come with me," he said, his hand brushing Sean's shoulder, his fingers lingering just a second too long. "I'll show you where the real players go." We looked at each other, our nerves buzzing, our adrenaline spiking. This is what we came for, right? The real LA? The place where dreams are made and broken, where shadows flicker at the edge of every neon-lit alley? We followed. They pulled up to the mansion just before midnight, the headlights of their Uber sweeping over the towering iron gates, the blacked-out windows reflecting the distant city lights. The air felt heavier up here, the cool breeze tinged with smoke and something sharper, like the breath of something ancient stirring beneath the surface. Jazz leaned forward, her eyes widening as the gates creaked open, the thick iron bars sliding apart with a slow, mechanical groan. Sean let out a low whistle, his eyes flicking to the security cameras perched on either side of the entrance, their dark lenses swiveling to track the car as it rolled up the long, winding driveway. The house itself loomed at the end of the drive, sleek and angular, a modernist monolith carved from black glass and polished stone. It looked less like a home and more like a temple, the kind of place where secrets are kept and rituals are performed. The car slowed to a stop, the engine ticking as the driver threw it into park. They stepped out, the gravel crunching beneath their feet. the cool air prickling their skin. A tall, silent man in a black suit appeared beside them, his face expressionless, his eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses, despite the darkness. He held out a small, leather-bound booklet, a fountain pen clipped to its spine. "Names," he said, his voice flat, mechanical. They hesitated, glancing at each other, the cool night air suddenly feeling colder, heavier, like a weight pressing down on their shoulders. We're on the list," Sean said, his voice wavering slightly, his fingers twitching at his sides. "We got invited." The man said nothing, just held out the booklet, his fingers perfectly still, his head tilted slightly to the side, like he was listening to something only he could hear. One by one, they scribbled their names on the thin, yellowed pages, their signatures bleeding into the paper like old bloodstains. As soon as they handed the booklet back, the man snapped it shut, his lips curling into a tight, humorless smile. "Phones," he said, holding out a velvet-lined tray, his eyes still hidden behind his dark glasses. Jazz's eyes flicked to the front door, where a second, larger man in a matching black suit stood waiting, his arms crossed, his head lowered, his face shadowed. They hesitated, their hearts pounding, their nerves buzzing. The moment felt sharp, electric, like the second before a lightning strike, the air crackling with unseen energy. Finally, they dropped their phones into the tray, the small, familiar devices landing with a soft, final thud, their screens winking out as the man sealed the tray and turned on his heel, disappearing into the shadows. The front door swung open, spilling warm, golden light onto the polished stone steps, the low, pulsing beat of the music slipping out into the night like a whisper. A promise. A dare. They stepped inside, the door swinging shut behind them with a heavy, echoing thud, the sound vibrating through their bones, the finality of it settling deep in their chests. Inside, the air was thick and warm, scented with perfume, sweat, and something darker, something metallic, like the taste of blood on the back of their tongues. The crowd was different here, taller, sharper, their skin glowing in the low ambient light, their eyes gleaming like polished stones. NBA players with chiseled jawlines and wide, predatory grins, Instagram models with faces too perfect, too symmetrical, their lips curved into slow, knowing smiles. The music throbbed in time with the flashing lights, the bass line vibrating through the polished floors, the walls reflecting their distorted, shadowed forms back at them like funhouse mirrors. The narrator's heart raced, his mind buzzing with the thought that this could be it. This could be the night everything changed, the moment his dreams finally broke through the surface, shattering the barriers between who he was and who he wanted to be. But as they moved deeper into the crowd, the air grew heavier, the light darker, the faces around them sharper, hungrier, their eyes tracking their every move, their smiles stretching too wide, their teeth too sharp. The walls seemed to close in, the air thickening, the shadows lengthening, the music slowing, each beat hitting like the pulse of a massive, slumbering heart. They kept moving, their breath coming in short, sharp bursts, their skin prickling with the growing sense that they'd stepped into something they couldn't walk back from, something darker and older and hungrier than they'd ever imagined. And then, his vision narrowing, a hand clamped down on his shoulder, firm, possessive, the fingers digging into his skin. He turned, his heart hammering, his pulse thundering in his ears, to find a face he recognized. Diddy. Diddy's hand tightens on my shoulder, his fingers digging into my flesh, his grip warm, possessive, sending a slow, rolling shiver down my spine. I freeze, my pulse hammering in my ears, my breath catching in my throat. He leans in, his lips curling into a slow, knowing smile, his eyes sharp, cutting through the haze of smoke and neon like a blade. His breath is warm against my ear, his voice low, smooth, each word a dark caress. "You look a little lost," he whispers, his fingers pressing harder into my shoulder, the pressure making my knees weak. That's good. Being lost means you've strayed from the path, and that's where all the interesting things happen. I try to speak, to force my mouth to form words, but my throat feels tight, my tongue heavy, the air around us thick, suffocating, like the breath of something ancient. Diddy's eyes flick over my shoulder, taking in the crowd, the shifting shadows, the slow, sensual sway of bodies locked in dark private dances. His hand slides down my arm, tracing the line of my bicep, his touch leaving a trail of heat, his grip tightening just enough to send another slow, rolling shiver through me. "You want to see something special?" he asks, his voice slipping into a lower register, his eyes narrowing, his teeth flashing in the dim light. "Something you'll never forget?" I hesitate, my heart slamming against my ribs, my skin prickling, my instincts screaming at me to say no, to pull back, to find my friends and leave, but I can't move, can't breathe. My body frozen, my mind spinning. He leans in closer, his breath warm, his lips brushing the edge of my jaw, his fingers tightening around my wrist, pulling me deeper into the crowd. "Come with me," he whispers, his tone dripping with dark promise, his grip unbreakable, his presence a black hole pulling me in, swallowing my fear, my doubts, my will. My feet move without my permission, my legs trembling, my pulse racing. I catch a glimpse of Sean and Jazz through the crowd, their heads thrown back, their eyes wide, their mouths open, their bodies swaying to the heavy, hypnotic beat. But they don't see me, don't hear me. Their faces lit by flashing red and gold, their bodies twisted into dark, elegant shapes, their hands moving over each other like they're trying to crawl beneath each other's skin. Diddy pulls me through a side hallway, the walls lined with polished black glass, the reflections distorted, stretched, the faces staring back at me too sharp, too hollow, their eyes too bright. The air grows colder, heavier, each step pulling us further from the lights, the music, the safety of the crowd. The hallway twists, narrows, the polished floors shifting to rough, uneven stone, the walls leaning in, the shadows growing darker, thicker, their edges flickering like the tongues of black flames. Diddy stops in front of a door at the end of the hall, his hand sliding down my arm, his fingers tracing the curve of my wrist, his touch lingering, possessive. "This is where I keep my darkness," he whispers, his breath cool, sharp, his eyes burning with a strange, hungry light. "You want to see?" My heart pounds, my chest tightens, my mouth goes dry. My mind screams at me to turn back, to run, to break free, but my body refuses to move, my legs trembling, my pulse hammering in my ears. Diddy's fingers curl around the polished black door handle, his grip firm, his knuckles white, his eyes locked on mine, his lips curving into a slow, predatory grin. "All you have to do is say yes," he whispers, his voice a dark, seductive purr, his breath brushing my ear, his touch tightening, his body pressing closer, his heat seeping into my skin, my pulse, my bones. My mouth opens, my breath catches, my throat tightens, my mind fractures beneath the weight of his gaze, my body trembling, my will crumbling. "Yes," I whisper, my voice cracking, my pulse racing, my breath coming in short, sharp gasps. His grin widens, his eyes flare, his grip tightens, his fingers digging into my flesh, his breath slipping past his lips in a hot, satisfied rush. "Good," he whispers, his voice thick with dark satisfaction, his fingers curling around the door handle, his wrist twisting, the hinges groaning, the air behind the door spilling out, thick, wet, like the breath of a predator. The door swings open, the darkness beyond it deep, endless, the air heavy, wet, clinging to my skin like the touch of a lover. His hand slides down my arm, his touch lingering, his fingers brushing my wrist one last time, his breath warm, his lips close, his voice slipping into a darker, more intimate register. "Go on," he whispers, his eyes gleaming, his teeth flashing in the darkness. "Step inside." I step forward, my body moving without my consent, my heart pounding, my mind spinning, the darkness swallowing me whole. As soon as I cross the threshold, the air shifts. It feels tighter, denser. like the room itself is pressing in on me. The door slams shut behind me, the echo vibrating through my bones, my pulse hitching, my mind suddenly sharp. Awake, I'm in a small, windowless space. The walls smooth and black, reflecting my wide-eyed, uncertain face back at me from a dozen warped angles. It's warmer in here, the heat creeping up my neck, sticking my shirt to my back, my skin starting to prickle with sweat. The only light comes from a series of recessed, red-tinted fixtures along the walls, casting long shadows that stretch and sway like they're breathing, like they're alive. The floor is polished stone, cold beneath my feet, my shoes echoing softly as I take a hesitant step forward. There's a smell in the air, something sharp, metallic, with a hint of smoke, like the room itself has been burned clean. Against the far wall stands a low heated podium, the surface smooth, polished, radiating warmth. At its center sits a glass bottle, its contents glistening under the low red light. I step closer, my eyes narrowing, my breath catching as I recognize the familiar curved shape of the bottle, baby oil, the label peeled away, the glass slick and clear, small beads of condensation gathering at its base. My stomach tightens, my heart pounding faster, my breath coming in shallow, rapid bursts. It doesn't belong here. It feels wrong, out of place, like a detail in a dream that you don't notice until it's too late. The room is empty, but I can feel eyes on me, the weight of unseen attention pressing down on my shoulders, my skin tingling, my muscles tensing, I take another step, my feet whispering against the polished stone, my eyes darting to the corners, the walls, the shadows that flicker and stretch, my pulse pounding, my mouth dry. Then from somewhere behind me, I hear the soft, deliberate click of a lock sliding into place. I spin, my heart leaping into my throat, my breath catching, but the door is already closed, the seams blending seamlessly into the walls, the handle gone, the exit erased. I'm trapped. I take a step back, my pulse racing, my head spinning, my eyes flicking back to the podium, to the bottle of baby oil, the glass catching the red light, the liquid inside moving slowly, thickly, like it's alive, like it's waiting. Then I hear it, the soft, deliberate sound of footsteps, the slow, measured scrape of leather against stone, the quiet, steady tap of a polished sole. I turn, my heart hammering, my mind scrambling, my breath coming in sharp, shallow gasps. And there he is, tall, lean, his bare chest smooth, his muscles taut, his skin too perfect, too polished, his face sharp, beautiful, his eyes dark, hungry, a slow, twisted smile curving his lips. He moves with a strange, deliberate grace, his body slipping through the shadows like smoke, his eyes never leaving mine, his lips parting, his teeth flashing, his head tilting slightly to the side like a predator sizing up its prey. I try to speak, to move, to push past him, but my legs feel weak, my hands shaking, my mind blank, my breath coming in short, desperate bursts. He steps closer, his eyes narrowing, his smile widening, his head dipping, his breath cool against my face, his presence a physical weight, a pressure against my chest, my ribs, my pulse. You said yes, he whispers, his voice low, smooth, each word slipping past his lips like a secret, like a promise. You walk through the door, you cross the line. I try to step back to put space between us, but my heels hit the edge of the podium, the heat from the glass bottle seeping into my calves, my back, my spine. He steps closer, his bare feet whispering against the polished stone, his fingers flexing, his eyes narrowing, his lips curving into a slow, predatory grin. You're mine now, he whispers, his voice slipping past my defenses, sliding into my mind, my blood, my bones. You made your choice. He reaches out, his hand slipping behind my neck, his fingers tightening, his grip firm, unbreakable, his breath cool against my ear, his lips brushing my jaw, his head tilting, his eyes narrowing, his smile widening. Now show me, he whispers, his voice sharp, hungry, each word a command, a challenge, a dare. Show me what you're willing to become. He releases me, his hand slipping from my neck, his eyes flicking to the bottle on the podium, his lips curling, his eyes gleaming, his head tilting, his shoulders rolling, his muscles tensing, his breath coming in slow, measured pulses. I stare at the bottle, my pulse racing, my head spinning, my mind blank, my breath coming in sharp, shallow gasps, my legs trembling, my hands shaking, my throat tight, my skin tingling, my heart hammering. I can feel his eyes on me, his gaze heavy, expectant, his smile sharp, his breath slipping past his lips in short, sharp bursts, his presence a weight, a pressure, a force. I reach for the bottle, my fingers closing around the cool glass, my pulse pounding, my mind blank, my breath coming in short, desperate gasps. "Good," he whispers, his voice slipping past my defenses, sliding into my mind, my blood, my bones. Now we begin. I can barely breathe. My pulse slams in my ears, my wrists aching where his fingers dig into my skin. He leans in closer, his breath slipping past my ear, his grip tightening, his chest pressing against mine. Something inside me snaps. Fear collides with anger, cutting through the fog in my mind. I clench my fists, my heart hammering, my teeth grinding, my body tensing. No. The word slips past my lips, rough, raw, a final act of defiance. His grip freezes, his head tilts, his eyes narrowing, his lips parting, his breath catching. He pulls back, his eyes locked on mine, his teeth flashing, his fingers slowly sliding from my wrists. For a second, the room feels smaller, the air thinner, his eyes sharper, his breath colder. I stand there, my pulse thundering, my breath catching, my skin prickling. He takes a step back, his eyes still locked on mine, his jaw tight, his lips curling into a slow, dangerous smile. "You'll remember this," he says, his voice slipping into a lower, more dangerous tone, his head tilting, his eyes narrowing. "You'll remember my name. You'll remember me." I stumble back, my legs shaking, my heart racing, my breath coming in short, sharp bursts. The door creaks open behind me, the cool air slipping in, cutting through the heat clinging to my skin. I turn and run, my steps uneven, my mind blank, my pulse hammering. I push through the door, the hallway stretching before me, the walls pressing in, the shadows flickering, the lights flashing, the music still pounding. I burst into the main room, the crowd closing in around me, the bodies swaying, the air thick with sweat and smoke, the faces blurred, the voices too loud, the lights too bright. I catch a glimpse of Jazz and Sean, their eyes wide, their heads tilted, their movements jerky, their faces blank, their bodies swaying in slow, unnatural rhythms. I try to call their names, my voice cracking, my breath catching, my pulse racing, but they don't hear me, don't see me. Their eyes glassy, their minds gone, their bodies moving like they're being pulled by invisible strings. I shove through the crowd, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts, my pulse hammering, my skin tingling, my mind spinning. I hit the door, shove it open, and stagger into the cold night air, my shoes slipping on the wet pavement, my legs shaking, my chest heaving, my pulse racing. I keep running, my feet slapping against the concrete, my breath coming in short, desperate gasps, my heart pounding, my legs burning, my mind blank. I don't stop until I hit the street, my hands braced against my knees, my breath coming in short, painful bursts, my chest tight, my pulse thundering. I never see them in the flesh again. But sometimes, when I scroll through my feed, I catch glimpses of them. Their faces lit by the cold, digital glow of a screen, their eyes wide, their movements jerky, their voices strained, their bodies moving like they're still trapped in that room, their souls caught in some dark, digital loop. I know it's them, I know, and I know they're never coming back.